Hey everybody, this is Deb with Truthification Chronicles, and this one I've just got to talk about some of these Democrats because you know what? They're starting to get a little panicked, I think. And I don't know if you saw this, you probably have by now, but Jerry Nadler had a little incident today. I'm just going to show it to you instead of actually putting in the audio and everything. But see, he was with de Blasio here, and he's just not doing real well. And they said that he was dehydrated and everything, but look at his face. I mean, he just was not in good shape there. So, I don't know. That's what they're claiming. They had to take him out in an ambulance. So, yeah, it was pretty bad. And I don't know. He just kept staring down here. He really wasn't even looking up. And de Blasio asked him if he was okay, and he said no. And so, yeah, he did not look that great. Anyway, but he did get on Twitter later on, and he posted this and said, appreciate everyone's concern, was very warm in the room this morning, was obviously dehydrated and felt a bit ill, glad to receive fluids, and am feeling much better. Thank you for your thoughts. So, I don't know. My mom has been dehydrated several times, so it could possibly be that, but I also read one place that one commentator said that back in about 2000-ish, somewhere in there, he had gastric bypass surgery because, you know, he was very overweight at the time. And so they don't know if maybe that, you know, sometimes people that have that done then quite often will have problems later on down the line, you know, like hypoglycemia problems. So it could be that. Who knows, you know. Right now, I guess that's the official story, is that he was dehydrated. But, you know, they also said that about Hillary on that 9/11 thing. So, who knows? I just think he looked pretty glassy-eyed, and he was just kind of staring and hardly responsive for quite some time, actually. And I think they cleared the room and got the first responders in there. And the guy that first came in, he's a big black guy, and I wonder if he didn't look a little bit like the big guy that was there for Hillary. So, I don't know. I mean, that's just a thought. But anyway, going on, besides that, I mean, Jerry's having a bad time of it. Well, you know, we're starting to see people getting a little crazy here. And this Marshall Cohen now, this is no friend of Trump's, because this is a reporter producer for CNN covering the Trump investigations and more. Yeah. So anyway, this guy has no love for Trump, and he says, with his comments today, Trump has now fully embraced the conspiracy Papadopoulos has been pushing about investigating the UK and Australia for orchestrating a setup that triggered the Russia probe. Trump just endorsed this and even name-dropped the countries, top U.S. allies. I mean, how frantic is that? This guy has no clue, because it's true. It is true. They were part of it. Why do you think Theresa May is no longer the Prime Minister of England? So, anyway, that's kind of going on there, and panic is setting in. Check out this little bit of panic from Mr. Adam Schiff. Now, back in 2016, this was December 17th, 2016, he made this tweet. President Obama can and must declassify as much as possible about Russia hacking our elections. Rest assured, Trump won't. Huh? Really? Trump won't? Ooh, he called your bluff, Adam. And what did he do? Now Adam's saying, while Trump stonewalls the public from learning the truth about his obstruction of justice, Trump and Barr conspire to weaponize law enforcement and classified information against their political enemies. The cover-up has entered a new and dangerous phase. This is un-American. Wait a minute. Back here, he was happy about the declassification. Over here, suddenly, he's not. Gee, Adam, is it that now you know who started it all and you don't want to point the finger at Mr. Obama anymore? Yeah, you know why now that Obama didn't declassify that. Because Obama knew what the truth was. Anyway, so I wanted to show you that. That's a nice little side-by-side that one of the researchers did. And then, of course, we have good old Elijah Cummings here. Now, he's in charge of the House Oversight Committee. And check this out. Top Democrat Elijah Cummings, accused of tax violation, refuses to show his taxes. Ooh. See, I told you this is going to bite them in the butt. Where all of these places are saying you have to show your taxes to be on the ballot. Well, okay, come on, Elijah, let's show your taxes. Let's see them. So they don't want to do that when it's their taxes. What's the old saying? If Democrats didn't have double standards, they wouldn't have any standards at all, right? Well, some people might scoff at that idea. This story pretty much proves just how deep the left's hypocrisy goes. Take Representative Elijah Cummings, for instance. He's been one of the loudest critics of President Trump, routinely calling for the president's tax returns. But now that he's been accused of violating tax law, he doesn't think he needs to produce any of his own. So, yeah, it's actually his wife that is part of this. And I've got this article here. They deny personal benefit from committee position, still won't turn over public records. And his wife's name is Maya Rocky Moore. And as it says here, Cummings and Rocky Moore faced ethical questions after a conservative watchdog group, the National Legal and Policy Center, dug through the paper trail of Rocky Moore's businesses and found potentially illegal arrangements. The National Legal and Policy Center filed an IRS complaint against Rocky Moore, alleging that there is an illegal overlap between her nonprofit charity and for-profit consulting firm. Rocky Moore's consulting firm was given a $1 million federal contract, of which her nonprofit served as the National Program Office. This could qualify as self-dealing, which is illegal. Yeah. And so this kind of defines what is really funny, that, you know, these people that are whining the most and yelling the most about Trump, they're the ones that are guilty. So this is very interesting that this is coming out right now. I mean, it's just, there's so many of these things that are happening and starting to come out. And then, of course, we have this, which is Mark Meadows, who has been to the Department of Justice. I mean, he actually went there. Reviews new Peter Strzok cover-up text messages. So, Congressman Mark Meadows was spotted at the Justice Department Thursday with fellow Freedom Caucus member Jim Jordan, shortly before President Trump issued a declassification order of Spygate documents. Meadows told a reporter that he was at the DOJ reviewing text messages and new correspondence that pertains to the Strzok cover-up. New correspondence. Just hours after Meadows visited the Justice Department, President Trump gave Attorney General Bill Barr full and complete authority to declassify information related to Spygate. Now, I've done a little bit of thinking since I did the Declass video. I was just so hyper about the Declass video that I really hadn't thought a lot of things through. And then, you know, the 17th letter of the alphabet posted another post. And so I want to touch on those. I do think that this whole line here, the full and complete authority to declassify information, is huge, because what that does is it is eliminating, I think, it's going to eliminate the levels that it normally has to go through, which is going to speed up the release tremendously. And that may end up resulting in June 3rd, possibly being the release date. That's the date that a lot of the researchers on the boards have been saying. And again, they're still tossing around ideas, but that was one idea that they had. So I don't know if that's the actual date, but I do think that it's possible. I also think that it's possible, and this is from some of the commenters on the Declass video. Yeah, it is very possible that, you know, some of this stuff has already been declassified and already been prepared to be put out. It just hasn't made it all the way out. Now, according to the 17th letter of the alphabet, he said that it has bypassed Dan Coates' office. That's the Director of National Intelligence. And so the Office of Director of National Intelligence, the ODNI, it's bypassing that office. And I really think, and I did another video on that, but I really think that part of the reason that's important is because that office seems to be where things kind of got stuck. I mean, all the things that the Republicans have been asking for, all those documents, they didn't make it out. And I think it was because of the reviews going on in that office. Now, whether it was Dan Coates himself or if it was people under him, I don't know. But this right here, the phrasing of this, it gives Barr the full and complete authority to declassify information. So he can bypass them now. And he does not have to have them doing any of that declassification for him. He can choose what to declassify and what he can't. And I trust Barr at this point because he did a really great job with the Mueller report. And so I think he's going to try to put out as much as he possibly can. But we still have to deal with the grand jury information. He can't put that out. And there might be a lot of stuff that has to do with grand jury information. Or it's also possible that maybe that will be null and void because the indictments will be unsealed and so it won't make any difference. I mean, I'm not sure. That's a possibility too. There's a lot of things that we don't know for certain, but we do know that the declassification is going to be pushed quickly through things because I think that's why Trump did that, to make sure that Barr could push it through as fast as possible. So how long is it going to be? I don't know. I think, a couple weeks, probably max. But yeah, it's coming out. It's coming out quick. And that's why they're getting so hyper. One of the things we need to look for when the declassification happens is we need to pay attention to the unmaskings. And this is Sara Carter saying this because the unmaskings are just something else. Now, she had a video on, she was on Hannity about it with Dan Bongino. So you can watch that if you want. It's the link to in this article, so you can see that. But as President Trump ordered the intelligence community and others to fully cooperate with DOJ Attorney General William Barr in his investigation into the FBI's probe of the 2016 presidential election, a key piece of evidence may reside in the early unmasking of Americans' private communications. Okay? Carter pointed this out in her appearance Thursday night on Hannity. And Carter noted former UN Ambassador Samantha Power. Now, first of all, a UN ambassador typically does not unmask anyone, ever. But she unmasked nearly 300 people. These names will surprise Americans if they were to be made public, according to Carter. So yeah, this is going to be something huge. When this comes out, and I'm pretty sure that it will come out, that the names of the actual people. Now, I'd heard about this document, months ago, actually. Maybe even a year ago. It's been a long time. And this document had all of their cell phone numbers, the home phone numbers, their, addresses, and a lot of personal data about them. And it came from, I believe it came from the NSA database. And at the time, they were talking hundreds of Americans. Well, yeah, probably hundreds of Americans. That's what they were doing. They were trying to get dirt. And Ted Cruz was one of them that they were trying to get dirt on, because if Trump would not have made, the nomination, Ted Cruz was the next one in line. And so I'm sure they had the dirt on him. Now, they didn't have dirt on Jeb Bush because that's who they wanted to get the nomination. So it wouldn't matter, on that. They didn't care about him. But anyway, so I did want to point this out to the different tweets that are going around. These people are scared, and you can see that in Adam Schiff's. This one came back to bite him in the butt. So I will put a link to it down below, and I'll try to get that graphic up on my website. So if you want to use it and share it, you're welcome to do so, because I think it's very telling about how he switched from saying this, that it all needs to be declassified, that's what needs to happen. And all of a sudden he's like, no declassification. That's un-American. So, and when I had this up, I wanted to point out to you, look who it recommends. John McCain. Recommends John McCain to me. I just think that's kind of funny. Anyway, then I also had this that I wanted to share with you. First of all, look who they give me to follow. Katy Perry, Bill Gates, And CNN breaking news. Oh yeah, that has a lot to do with POTUS. The other day I pulled it up. It said Justin Bieber, Lady Gaga, and Jimmy Fallon. And it's like, really? Seriously? I don't want to follow those people. They have nothing to do with POTUS. So anyway, but if you go down here, I mean, it's been a little, I think this one's kind of funny. They're all pointing fingers at each other, and that is really what's happening. Oh yeah, they're starting to do that. So down here, he had one for Nancy Pelosi. Well, this one right here is about Avenatti, and that was Don Jr. that posted it. And it is a bunch of clips of Avenatti and how in mainstream media was so in love with Avenatti and how many times he appeared on their shows and everything. And, he says, a friendly reminder that the mainstream media who suffer from Trump derangement syndrome made this clown a contender for president of the United States. Really, for sure. And this is the one I want to show you. Pelosi stammers through news conference. And they put this up there. Now, I'm going to show you this clip, but when you watch it, they're making a big stink about it, saying it was altered. Well, duh. All you have to do is watch it, and it was just outtakes. It was like cuts of it. I mean, anybody with like an IQ above the piece of paper would know that. You'll see. So let me play it for you, and then I'll come back and cap things up.
We had took a little longer on the floor, custody of the border. Everyone, he started sending signals, the U.S., Mexico, Canada, if that's not the accurate category. Some people call it after NAFTA, some call it NAFTA 2.0, working together to make past that, not... If there are three things. We're very busy people.
Okay, last time I checked, this is 3, not this. It was worse yesterday. We played another clip. She could not put a subject with a predicate in the same sentence.
So I just thought that one was funny enough that I needed to share it with you in case you hadn't seen it. Because I know some of you aren't on Twitter, and so even if you're not on Twitter a lot, you may miss a lot of things. But yeah, it's worth joining Twitter just to see what POTUS tweets. It really is. I have several different links that I have come across today that are extremely interesting. But I just can't do videos about them all because I just, it would take like forever. I'd be on this for 2 or 3 hours and I just can't do that. So I'm going to be putting them on my Patreon site. So the link's down below, and all of the links that I covered in this one will be down below. But if you go to my Patreon page, again, you don't have to be a member. You don't have to, follow me. You don't have to donate or anything. I'm not saying that. But if you go to the page, you can see the articles that I'm going to put up. Okay? I'm working on getting them onto my website, but the website takes a lot more, to do. It's not as easy to get the links to come up well on the website. So it's easier on Patreon because they just kind of pop in there and you can put them up. And like I said, you can look at them, you can view them and everything without joining Patreon or without promising to donate or anything like that. I'm not saying, of course, if you want to, that's fine too, but I'm not pushing for it. But I wanted to let you know that because right now I'm kind of using that as a little bit of a blog for all the videos that I'm coming across and all the articles. But I am eventually going to transfer it all over onto my website. It just is taking time and energy. Oh, and I did want to tell you too that, you probably noticed that I now have an ad blocker on here again. So you're not seeing all those ads and everything. And I want to apologize for having the ads like I did in the last couple videos, because when the hard drive went down, I had to kind of prioritize which things to reinstall. And so I really needed the ones that were productive at first, and that was kind of secondary on the list. So I finally got to it today and I got it installed and it's working really well. It's actually better than my last ad blocker, I think, because I think it takes out more stuff. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you and let you know that, I think we're back to normal on that, because I'll tell you, the ads were really annoying to me too. And I also wanted to remind you that at the end of this video, there'll be links to 2 different playlists. One of them's from this week, and one of them's from last week. So in case you missed any of the videos, I know how life gets busy and you don't always get to see all the videos from, people that you like to follow. So if you can go to the playlist, you can see which videos were from the whole week. And if you're like doing some kind of project or something and you just want it to autoplay, it'll autoplay the whole list. And so sometimes I do that when I'm doing my crafting. I will, put it on autoplay for a list, and I'll just go ahead and listen to them all and while I'm working. So there you go. I wanted to give you that opportunity. You can also go to my main channel page and you can go to the playlist from there. So that's, up to you. It's just kind of nice once in a while to set it on auto, and then it just keeps going while you're doing something else. So, multitasking, we all like to do that, right? So anyway, that's what I've got for you on this one. And I want to thank you for stopping by, and I'll see y'all later.